Tuesday, May 22nd, 2018 is MMAjunkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I am Goes. To my left is Gorgeous George. To his left is Dan Tom. And the voice you hear in the background, that's Danny Okers.
That's me.
If you're wondering what everybody does, George hosts the show. Dan is our MMA fight analyst. And Danny Okers produces the show.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm me.
What do you do?
Nothing.
Yeah, you
Nothing.
said
Something. Nothing.
Oh,
He doesn't know. Now, this Dave Terrell only has one L on his last name, if I'm not mistaken.
By
There's
It's
two Dave Terrells, and one has one L, the other one has two L's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Today I got my name spelled with a Y again. At Starbucks.
Yeah.
By a veteran, too. She knows better.
You guys seen the Facebook feed?
Guys are coming
Let
up
me see.
in a minute.
MMA.
I have not seen it pop up that we had one
Yeah,
going
it's not
live
popping
yet.
up either. I just double check output settings and what I typed in and set
Yeah,
is
it's up.
still there. Okay. It's just one of those weird things I got to go to it manually. Alrighty.
The guests are coming in the second hour. The first hour is wide open to call in.
Powerful.
866-522-2846. Maybe do that daily debate early this time.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Listening to the radio
Coming
on
up
the way
in
in.
30.
People need to cool their jets. The whole show was dedicated to where we should start the parade route. And that it absolutely either needs to start at Mandalay Bay or end at Mandalay Bay. Take it easy. You got to win the Stanley Cup first.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
Hey, I'm already getting off on the wrong foot when it comes to that NHL
Alright, guys,
season.
stand
There's
by.
no reason why they're going to have to jinx the whole team to get off on the wrong foot when they're doing so well. Cut that out.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us. Can you dig it? There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Thought you were getting ready to fart on me, Goes. What was all that?
Fart on you, what?
Yeah, it kind of like
Oh.
one side.
Yeah, I could see
Fingers were out. I was like, I'm not pulling that one. All right, it's the MMAjunkie Radio Show here in Las Vegas, the fight capital of the world. I'm George. That's Dan. Goes is to my right. You'll hear a voice from time to time, although he's kind of shy and timid. His name's Danny Otto. Every once in a while, he'll say, wow. He comes out of his shell and says, wow. What's up, guys?
Wow.
Not
Not
much.
much.
You know something I did find out about Danny Otto I was going to bring up last week is he's never seen Bloodsport. And I don't know if we've done the new minute for a while, but not saying that it still doesn't have its place because I actually missed that segment, but maybe Danny should catch up on some things that maybe aren't MMA, but we're still related to MMA and report back on it. I don't know.
He's never seen Bloodsport either.
I
You
haven't.
have? Whoa.
No, I haven't. I haven't even seen
Okay.
the Snatch movie.
Oh, my goodness.
So the other day, it was on halfway
That's
through.
just good. Let's
And
go.
I said, you know, I could just finish this out, tell Dan Tom a couple things like that explosion or this or that,
So I
and he'd
got
probably
past.
buy it. I go, nah, I owe it to him. So I gotta start it from the beginning and just watch it through. What was your assignment?
I had to listen to Over the Top podcast on How Did This Get Made.
Who's that?
Remember
Over the Top?
Yeah.
That had a podcast?
No, there was these guys that made a podcast on how did this movie get made. Like, it's so weird. And but I liked it.
I had a problem with a movie yesterday.
Four?
God damn it! What was it?
What was it about?
Oh, Colors.
Colors.
Yes. Juliet just puts it on, and I go, man. Okay, I have a lot of work to do, but you're gonna these emails that I'm sending out, these rankings I'm working on, all this is gonna stretch its delivery time because it's distracting. I quote it, I watch it, but you know, I did my I did my job, I did my stuff. But when we got to the very end, when Larry Looney Tunes is having the showdown with Rocket, who just played by Don Cheadle, by the way. This is before Don Cheadle was Don Cheadle. He was just
he wasn't even Don Cheadle for like another 10 years, right?
He was just a gangster here, yeah. And so they hit the Crips house. Remember, Gerardo, the singer, throws a grenade. And as the Crips are coming out, Don Cheadle's the last one. His name's Rocket. He's the leader. And they have a showdown with Larry Looney Tunes from 21st Street, 2-1 Homes. And what I told Juliet was, look, they pan over to the getaway car, and there's the driver, which is a girl, the co-pilot, which is another girl, and the reason this happened is to get through that neighborhood, chicks just had to be cruising, because otherwise, if they saw dudes, that'd be a red flag, and you know, so the guys would hide in the back. Anyway, the girls are sitting, almost like, if anybody's watching the stream, almost picture me and Dan kind of having a face-off. If we were having a face-off, regardless if you're my homie, but you don't have a gun, wouldn't you kind of excuse yourself off to the side a little?
Yeah, I'm in the line of fire.
Right, because and they had automatic weapons too, AK. All he has to do is just kind of spray him. You know what I mean? He's gonna get me, he's gonna get you, and they're just sitting there calm, like they're watching, you know, a pitcher and a batter, and they're behind the fence or something. There's no way they can get hit. They're just watching, and then to top it off, there's a couple people in the back of the car. Then they're out of the car. Then they're back in the car. It's the weirdest thing. And I told Juliet, isn't there someone? There is someone. I know this. But do some movies run out of money? Like the budget just goes over, and they go, "Fuck the editing. Who's gonna catch that? Some jackass." I mean,
probably before the internet.
Maybe, but that one was so obvious. Like, I don't know.
I didn't like that, and I didn't like when they threw the grenade. Somebody's getting fucked up in that house, right? But then they just keep filing out. Like, who? If a grenade goes off in your living room, who goes, I'm going to go investigate? And just one after another, they kept walking out getting blasted.
Well, the point of the grenade is
oh, it wasn't a real grenade? It was like a smoke grenade or something?
Well, I think it was a smoke grenade, but I hear them say grenade. So Gerardo tosses it, and they say grenade, so they're probably looking for exits. But you're right. Why go through where you think the grenade came through, you know? Plus, they heard someone got shot. The person that answered the door, they got shot.
Yeah.
So you're probably looking to go through the garage or maybe the back or something. But you're right. They all keep coming out. So it must have been smoke or something. But a grenade, from the time he threw it, 3 seconds? And they just kept filing out. You would have thought the explosion would have happened by then.
Yeah, they're getting handled.
Unless it was a delayed grenade.
You know, on IMDb, under the Goose section, they actually list exactly what George is talking about.
Did they really?
Yeah, and what's crazy is it also says people who also like this movie also like Bad Boys with Sean Penn. So, this is
the original, yeah, because
IMDb is George has been all over this website already, I think.
Who's in it? Who's in it?
Sean Penn.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean Penn, yeah.
I was like, oh, man.
Sean Penn's in it.
Oh,
so is Don Cheadle. So is Robert Duvall. So is Mario Lopez, if you have a sharp eye.
Oh, yeah. And so is the dork from Can't Buy Me Love.
Yeah, with Gerardo. And the guy that plays High Top winds up being Purnell in Menace to Society.
And Speed 2.
In Speed 2?
He's some guy in that.
Speed 2? Okay, I haven't seen Speed 2. I've seen Speed 1. Wait, that's the bus, right?
Well, the second one is like a boat.
Okay.
Speed 1.
Is it good?
No.
Willem Dafoe.
Is he in that?
Yeah, he's the bad guy.
Tonight, the Washington Capitals travel to the Tampa Bay to take on the Lightning. The Lightning are the favorites. The winner will face the Vegas Golden Knights. They've already laid out the dates for the Stanley Cup. If I'm not mistaken, if Tampa wins, they have home ice advantage. But if the Vegas Golden Knights win, then the Capitals would come this way. And the difference is you host 4 games versus being away 4 games. It's a best out of 7 for you rookies out there that know absolutely nothing. That's that deal. So I guess we're rooting for the Capitals, right? 4 games for the team is good for the team. But what I do know is this: we won 2 games in Winnipeg. So, and I believe we may have won 2 in San Jose. So going on the road's not too bad for us. And in regards to those other 2, I believe no home teams won. Tampa Bay and Washington. I believe, yeah, no home teams won. So hockey's just it's crazy, man.
How about no
It's hard to
Canada?
figure it out. Huh?
No Canada in the final.
Yeah, you're right. Now that Winnipeg's out, no Canada. But that's happened a few times.
A couple
In
years
fact,
ago, there was
did you
no
know
Canadian
Toronto
team
goes-
in the
Right.
playoffs.
Yeah, I know. I heard that one too. Did you know that Toronto has not won the Stanley Cup in 51 years? And they're one of the original 6 franchises. I believe it's Chicago, Detroit, Toronto, Montreal, Boston, and maybe the Rangers or something like that. But 51 years for Toronto, which is like the biggest city in Canada. So that means they have a fan base, and they got to be pushing the team to do something. I mean, at some point, like Montreal's won. Vancouver went to a finals. I don't know if they ever won one. They may have won one. I was telling Howie D the other day how I really pulled away from hockey for a good more than 20 years. So all this stuff is just memory. But I remember they had a guy named Pavel Bure who played for Vancouver, and I think they made it to the finals twice. But I think Boston took him out. And if you Google Boston versus Vancouver Game 7, Boston won, I believe. And they just tore down Vancouver. I mean, they rioted bad, and a lot of you'll see a lot of fights and cars getting turned over, and it was crazy, man. That was probably a good 10 years ago.
Hey, speaking of Toronto, I noticed that one of our listeners, Gally from Toronto, you've been chirping with him a little bit back and forth, right? Have you noticed how he likes to argue over silly
Have I
things?
noticed? Yeah.
Huh?
Well, the other day I had to finally concede. I think I told him, "Oh, you know what? It just hit me. It turns out you're right." You know,
Right.
you were 100% correct, and I was hoping that would end it because we were brawling over something. Russ too. Russ is another one that kind of
He threw out a
keeps it
fishing
going,
line.
keeps it going, and then these motherfuckers. I sort of what they do is they grab what you said and then use it against you, which is kind of what they do against Dana. Most MMA fans do against Dana. I get a good taste of that too. And I think Sam Aljam used that against me the other day.
Something
Sam
that you
Aljam, yeah, all I
Why
said
wouldn't
was
you use that?
congrats to the Vegas Gold. No, I think I was at the Golden Knights. I didn't even say
I saw that. I
congrats,
saw
suck
that.
it,
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, I saw
I
that.
just said here at the Golden Knights. You know, like I was trying to give Sammy the squid props because he goes and I and Andrew Simon, we actually grabbed a bite to eat after last Friday's show, and we were sitting around and just talking, you know, catching up a little bit, and like 3 Vegas residents like to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were hanging out, we were talking, and we were talking about where are you going to watch the game later. Of the 3 of us, I probably had less of a chance of really watching the game. I might put it on mute on one of the 3 TVs and just watch something else. But Goes has been... Have you been to more games than me?
I've been to 2 this year.
He went early, and I went later. This is the knee, and he just was more into it. So him and Andrew were discussing, you know, maybe where to go. Then they were getting me into it, and I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I'd be down to do this. Because outside of the Vegas Golden Knights Arena, which is the T-Mobile Arena, it's called the Park. And I guess a lot of people just get there and watch it. But here in Vegas is like 95, 98 that day. I'm a sweaty bastard, you know, and I don't have much Vegas gear except the jersey that I bought one time. And now picture me baking out there. And then the downtown Las Vegas Event Center also has a big viewing party. So it's all outdoors. And I was like, well, I was in and out. And sure enough, I got the call. Squid had the suite. And so I wound up going. So I had a really, really good time, man. It was really, really cool. I mean, like, it's, you know, from having to pay for a ticket to sitting in one of the owner's suites, that's a complete 180 from what I thought my day was going to be like. But I posted the pictures. I had a good time, and
So what'd he say?
his wife and who? Sam.
Sam.
So he just said, I'm paraphrasing, but something along the lines of being a hypocrite. And I was like, huh? And he said we give him hard times because Lehigh, St. John's, and what's the other one? Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, but I bet you were there when Gretzky and the Kings were a powerhouse or something.
No,
And
you
I was
never.
I was never a Kings fan, really. Even
for the
before
Ducks.
the Ducks came in '93, when the Kings were there, I never had Kings gear. I know that for sure. But I would believe that if somebody said, "Hey, we're all going to happy hour to watch the Kings," I may have went and I may have said yes if they scored a goal, just because I was there in that moment. But I was never really a hockey guy until '93 when the Ducks came along. That was their first year. It was called the Mighty Ducks. So he was wrong there. And then the other thing is, and I didn't explain this to him, but I wound up explaining this to Howie almost a week later. So a State Farm agent told me, "You want season tickets?"
The Jake.
Mm-mm. He's not an agent though. He's a claims
Oh, okay.
He goes, "You want in on some season tickets?" I go, "Man, I can't do 40 games." He goes, "No, we split it in 5. There's 40 regular season, 5 preseason. So we each get 9. You get 1 preseason and 8." I go, "That's perfect for me. Here you go." I think it was 50 per ticket. So what's that? 2 times the 8, $800. It was about $900. All right, here you go. Went to a couple games. It was cool. I was trying to get into it. That's icing. That's a 2-line pad. All that shit. Whatever. Tickets weren't bad. They were really, really good, actually. And so it was cool. But my games were spaced out, and I was a baseball guy and a football guy and a basketball guy, and whatever attention I had left was, hockey, I guess. There was no MMA. What didn't start till November of 1993? UFC, right? I really wasn't watching Premier League there because you couldn't watch Premier League. I know it was early 90s when I first caught a player with the collar up by the name of Eric Cantona. I go, "Who's that dude?" He's slick, But anyway, so around that time, I wasn't even immersed in that. And the next season, we were terrible. Expansion team was terrible. There was hardly any fights. Rumors were that Disney didn't want fights to go long. They encouraged the fighters not to fight, and they encouraged the refs to break them up quicker or something like that. Who knows if that's true. So it was okay, but then the next year he goes, they went up 5 a ticket. You want in? I go, all right, 1 more season. Same bullshit. Next season, you want in? I go, all right. He goes, they went up again. But that year, they had Paul Correa. You remember him, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, he held out for 1 year.
He held out for like half of a year.
Sam, you're taking notes, right?
And well, it's not really for Sam. They held out for half a season, so everybody was pissed. Like, fuck, man, we're paying good money, and we're not getting better in these games. Like, anyway,
The team with Salami too, didn't he?
No, Tino Salami came the next year when I finally said enough. So they finally signed him on one of those seasons, and he was good, but there was no help around him. And I don't know. By then, the UFC started in late 1993 and 94, and I was just so into that. De La Hoya's run and Tyson, and now I'm older and making more money and chasing tail or whatever. I don't know, man. Something had to give. And baseball, I started to distance myself from that. Hockey, and I think I started just getting a little bit more into the English Premier League. You were finding it every once in a while, the game of the week or something like that. So my point is, it was a run from 93 to 95, and then that was it. I think Ghost can attest. I wasn't really into the Ducks that much when they won in 2007. I was laughing more because a lot of Kings fans, they hated it because the Kings have been around for so long, and this team that was only 14 years old won the Stanley Cup. So that was kind of funny. I'm sure I watched a few games, but I didn't wind up going to any games. So think about how far removed I am. Till 2018 was when I first went to a Vegas Golden Knights game. Mm-hmm. How in the fuck? There was no Ducks Alliance, but I've lived in Vegas 10 years now. You know what I mean? And one of my best friends, his boss owns the team.
I think.
How am I not gonna eventually wind up at a game? And then I'm in the owner's suite. I gotta rock something. I remember Squid called me. Goes, "Hey, I'm at the what's it called over there where they sell the apparel? City Arena or something like that?
Yeah, over in
He goes, I'm in a
Summerlin.
gift shop. He goes, we get 30% off because the employees do, you know?
Mhm.
And he goes, you want me to get you something? And I go, yeah, give me something. And for some reason, I thought we started off on T-shirt talk, and somehow I wound up going, how much? And he goes, $120, and I had to give him the jersey price. But it was cool, you know? And so I imagine just me being MMA Junkie Radio when you're in that suite with everyone else, decked out and big. So I had to represent. I proudly wear it. I'm a fan of the team, but I'm literally almost 25 years removed from the other thing. Sam starts off as St. John's. He has the fucking tank top on October, November when they're tipping off at midnight, and then somehow when they start like losing, there's like my neighbors on Villanova and Lehigh got through the conference tournament. He's changing T-shirts a couple times a week. I'm 25 years removed, so. And he was wrong on the Kings accusation. So that settled that. Howie tried something. Joe from H-Town says, I just trolled you. And I'm looking back going, well, I don't really see that I fell for anything. So I don't know. These guys come at me all the time, man, with all kinds of...
Well, the reason I brought it up was because this individual loves to argue. And
back to Galley?
Yeah, and he was so desperate for an argument the other day that he said he disagreed with you on your take about monkey brains and eating them.
Oh, I remember that one.
And I could tell he was waiting for me to take that bait, waiting. I thought, why am I going to argue over that?
Well, we did. I just told him that I thought Dan said I was walking the streets of China, and I'm picturing young Dan Tom.
Mm-hmm.
How is that a fuck? He goes, it's a delicacy. Some people like delicacies. I'm like, it's on the street. How much of it sound like you went down an alley and somebody went, you want a cockroach? You want a scorpion? You want brains? whatever. It didn't sound like Dan didn't say he was in some tuxedo, with white gloves and a limo and having this delicacy. But so that's what I was saying. Like, he's a young dude. He was probably just trying shit or whatever. But I don't think it's a delicacy. And I think that was his point.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, who gives a shit?
That was my point.
Him and
well, that's the point to this. I think to the Sam thing.
Joe from H-Town had something with me the other day. I told him your team played terrible. It was the Rockets,
right.
And they did. They got blown out by like double digits. Then they came back, and I was a man. I went on Twitter and I go, "Hey, Rockets evened it up. Kudos to you guys. Now it's 1-1. Now we got ourselves a series." He comes back and says, "Oh, make up your mind. Are they terrible, or do we have ourselves a series and our team's good?" I go, "Well, tell your team to make up their mind. One night they're terrible, the next time they played good. And guess what? Last night they played terrible and got smoked. So now it's up to them to even the score, or they're getting closed out by the Warriors." What were you saying?
I forget, honestly. Yeah. No. What I will say is it's silly you shouldn't have to defend yourself this much, because I think I brought this up just a couple weeks ago. If I were to watch a Vegas Golden Knights game now, is there going to be, and Ghost said maybe not the guy with the drunken, what do you do in Washington? But essentially that guy. I mean, look at George. George posts one freaking photo where he's trying to have a good time. He's lucky enough to go to a game, having a good time with his friend. But I think it's the jersey, maybe a smile, just sets off an alarm in some people, and they're gonna go at it. And it's that sports mentality where I've talked about where that's kind of where I kind of differ. And I'm not saying anyone's wrong for that. I'll admit I'm the weirdo. Like, I don't like buffet lines for the same reason. I'm such a contrarian. Like, when I see a group of people forced down one pathway, whether it's rooting for a team or going down a buffet line, something in me just rejects it and has to go the other way.
Line?
It just represents conformity. Maybe something that represents conformity. Something, I don't know. Ever since I was a little kid, always kind of irks me the wrong way. And
if there's no line though, you'd have a problem with the buffet.
I'm good with it. It's just like, and then like, when you just see people just like, and then I remember even as a kid, I'd be like, I'm kind of turned off now. Like, you just, I don't know.
By the whole buffet? By a lot of food at once?
The people. I think it's more of a people thing, and it's more. Again, I probably shouldn't have thrown that example to strengthen one example, because now I'm side tangenting on another example. But back to the original example was that. What is the original? I'm not.
We kind of want to dive into the buffet line, though.
Yeah,
Jesus
let's go back to the buffet here.
Oh, my gosh.
So it's the line
it's a lot of
like.
good food. When you go in, you don't have to hit it all. You just go, ooh, that looks good.
That's not. Yeah, it's not.
And that looks good. And you can
be
actually eat something, and then go, bleh, and then go back and get something
else. I'm speaking on a
or-
different level. It's not about the foods. I'm a big food guy. I'll go food challenge with somebody and eat and whatnot. But and it's more of the it's more of just an observation of people. It's more of a conform. Come on, Goes. You went to school for this stuff. You should know what I'm saying.
I thought once you got past the line, I thought you would be over it.
I'd be good. Yeah.
Going. Oh, so okay. So it's more the line to get in.
Yeah, it's more just like you just feel like I'll do it.
So is that
and I'm
for
like, all right, I can
conformity
do
for
it.
the valet line or the taxi line or the club line or the
I think anytime I
strip
see
club line or
anytime I see a line, I think twice. And then with the food one, it kind of speaks more toward just kind of, you're just like, oh wow, okay, I could see who's even as a kid, like I would get scolded for like not having my hand in certain places and this and that. That's a whole other story. But like you just say, okay, we'll see who has manners and who doesn't now, and you just kind of see that, and then I don't know. That's a really bad example. I really get
people have this
sidetracked.
problem. Military people don't like buffets because it reminds them of what they had to do in the military and get in line and be there at a certain time and go through like that. That's why they don't like buffets.
I think I've heard that before. I think Steve Straub said it because he worked at an island and that's all they had was buffets.
Oh.
So he couldn't go off he worked at Johnson Island. It was an atoll. It was 2 miles long by 1 mile wide.
That's it.
And yeah. So talking about island fever, and he'd work 2 months on and get a month off because what they did that we used that island to disarm nuclear weapons. Eventually, we got rid of the plant, everything that was. That's how we met Frank, and we went to AFE with AFE to Afghanistan. Frank and Steve worked together on the atoll, and so yeah, that's what they did was that there was no like a Papa John's pizza or a Chili's or nothing like that. It was just the buffet. So when you tell him you want to go to the buffet, I mean he either just tells you no, or he'll meet you afterwards, or I guess it just brings back something. He was I guess working as a diplomat, not military, but it was still on a military base.
Steve doesn't look like the type that would be defusing any.
Well, he is a major asshole at times.
That's true.
So.
Let's put it this
way. Did you figure out your point, Dan? Because the whole buffet thing, I'm not feeling you.
Even in sports, even when I wasn't in sports, like with the Bulls, I would still get upset because I'd be like, "Why did the media all that's going to Jordan? He Pippen out rebounded, out assisted, out this," and I would go on little tangents. So maybe it's so perhaps it's me, but just that whole conformist attitude almost keeps me away. I was just speaking about it in the show. Like I missed so many games, I almost don't want to go because it's just gonna be someone's gonna give me crap.
The Golden Knights?
Yeah, somewould gonna be in the position. I'm going to react way worse.
Well, this is all fun for me.
Well, see, I would react way worse because you guys know my schedule, and it's just like I would, I would probably be like, hey, I don't even get. It's not because I'm like lazy or like not a fan. I can't carve out the time.
I don't mind getting punked, trolled. The joke's on me. I've often said touche, and I always say I subscribe to don't hit the panic button and say, well. Little do you know that I boned your mother. That's the third grade comeback, right? You just kind of say, you just kind of like take it like a man, sip on your beer. That's usually when people are sipping on their beers, they just got had, and they're thinking, and they're thinking it through, and then you either come back with something dumb, or if you're great at the comebacks, then you knock one out, or you live to fight another day.
But I apologize for brutalizing my point, by the way, and extending that longer than
you guys have a little bit of how can I put this? Because I don't want to make it sound like you're using it as an excuse, because it's true.
For which one?
The fact that we work at Mandalay, the fact that we work at Mandalay Bay, like I've heard a lot of people just say, look, man, the tragedy that happened, the Vegas Golden Knights helped us all get out of that. And that's the hotel that we're at. So that's why. Like, I had that conversation with one of the valets.
Yeah.
He was I think he was a Coyotes fan or something like that. And he goes, dude, how do I not become a part of this with what happened here at my hotel? And we had one of his coworkers got shot.
Because that happened a few days before the first game, right?
Right.
And the team did a great job of honoring the
victims,
they brought the
community
heroes
together.
They did. So
he was like, if anybody's going to talk shit to me about it, I just tell him, look, man, this affected my life.
There's a whole nother level right there. I mean,
but see, when there's expansion teams elsewhere, if you're on the other side of the country, you don't give a fuck.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what sport. You've probably never been there, and you probably don't plan on going there. Like the Carolina Panthers, unless I'm visiting Buffalo Blue or Big Jim, I don't know if I'll ever step foot in North Carolina. But who hasn't been to Vegas or has a connection to Vegas somehow?
Jason the intern.
That's why a lot of Jason the intern, Marissa Rivas, she goes, I love Las Vegas, and and she's a Jersey girl, proud Jersey girl, so they got a squad, the Devils, but she said, man, this is my team, and everyone went from day one and said, this is my team. Everybody was laughing, and so it's kind of funny to poke back and go, you still laughing? Because what they pulled off is pretty amazing. As far as the players all had, Kevin Ioli's got a really, really great article about this on his website, KevinIoli.com. I'm not sure if it's on Yahoo. He's also got a website called KevinIoli.com.
He's all over the Golden Knights, man.
And he explains that what happened was every team got paid $17 million because the Vegas Golden Knights owner paid $500 million to join the NHL. In doing so, they were allowed to protect something like 4 forwards, 3 defensemen, and a goalie, or that was option A, and option B was 7 players that weren't defined as forwards or defensemen or whatever. You could define them as however, and 2 goalies. I forget that he explained how we got Fleury. They had a guy that was younger and good and started.
It was like Dak Prescott and Tony Romo,
something like that, right?
And they said, you know what, we're just going to hang on to this guy because he's younger. And
so a lot of people had chips on their shoulders. A lot of people were like, hey man, all right, so you're cutting me, you're making me available to the expansion team. All right, I see what you're doing, and they had a chip on their shoulder. Well, think about banding however many people are on a hockey team with chips on their shoulders, feeling like they wore out their welcome, or they didn't reach expectations or whatever, and then that, along with some good scouting, a good coach and a good general manager and a key move or two, next thing you know, boom,
and they're set up for the next coming seasons as well.
See, I wish I could follow this, and I think that's what my point is. I think just ignore what Dan Tom says. I think Dan Tom's just butthurt because everything you guys are saying are 100% true. And I'm just butthurt because I haven't been able to watch a dang game as a Las Vegas. And I think my neighbors, I was that jerk off where I was Friday night, and I'm doing what most 30-year-olds do on Friday night, grabbing groceries up, and my neighbors are having a Golden Knights party. Yeah, Golden Knights, right? And I honestly didn't know they were playing, and they could tell it was one of those things where you have the look on your face, and you go, yeah, and it's already too late. You already kind of revealed your hand. You're like, have fun, guys. And I just felt like the jerk.
What happened?
I said what? I think it was just one of those things where they're like, yeah, Golden Knights, right? Looking for because everybody in Vegas knows
said
the
it
Golden
to you?
Knights. Yeah, because assuming everybody in Vegas is a young kid.
So you were so tuned out. You didn't even know they were playing last Friday?
I didn't even know. What do
you think I'm doing walking in with these jerseys at 100 degrees?
Well, I know I'm bad. Well, I did know about this one last Sunday, but I opted to watch Mirko Krokop footage instead for my breakdown. So I'm a little butthurt. So when I did see that, I almost got butthurt for you. Nothing. I love Sam Aljan, by the way. I'm not picking on Sam, by the way. But I almost got butthurt for you when I saw the comments loading up. I'm like, dude, guy gets to go to a game.
Sometimes if I have time, I'll sit there and bang. Throw some elbows. Me and Lackey got into it over something. Take the tags off your jersey. I'm like, I probably do have them. I mean, honestly, it's about 3 months old.
Yeah. But everybody has tags on their jersey.
That's what I'm saying. It's brand new. What else could we be? A pre-Golden Knights fan when the team was rumored to be coming here? Do you remember when we'd go to Born and Raised and Bill Foley, the owner, and Squid would go, hey, can you guys come out and support? And yeah, sure, let's go have a beer, whatever. Mm-hmm. That's because he's a friend of ours from literally high school, even before that. How am I not going to go out there and support and be there and shake a hand and whatever? So I have no problem with the whole Ducks to Golden Knights connection, no problem. The one that might be tough is the Raiders because this is going to be a hub here in Mandalay Bay, and who knows what the future might be for myself and Goes or whatever. But I may have to play the card where I just have to root for 2 teams. You know what I mean? If I'm tied into the other team somehow, I don't know. But all I know is I want to stay in this sports book. And we can't reveal too much, but we want to stay in this sports book, and I want to go to NFL games. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think the only reason I don't know. I really don't lose too much sleep over what they say. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. It's just fun to go in there, and hopefully you guys don't lose too much sleep when I'm trolling back or saying stuff. But I sometimes when I don't have time, I just save it for the show. If I remember, you brought it up, and I do remember. But there are some times when they write some stupid. Back to Sam. Oh, we have to take a break?
I mean, you don't have
Why
to.
does he always come back from a cruise and then reflect 3 days later and says, hard to believe that I was on a cruise just 3 days ago? I'm like, how the fuck is it hard to believe? Are you a stowaway? Did you win your ticket like Jack Dawson? You won a poker hand? You didn't really belong. You
spin?
You worked. You saved your money. You bought your ticket. You were on the cruise. Why is it so hard to believe? And that's like his 10th cruise, right?
Yeah.
So it should be
Get
easy
close.
to believe. He should just be going, 3 days ago I was there. But it's not hard to believe.
Jack Dawson was not reflecting on his boat trip.
You know what I mean? Hard to believe would be like, man, I can't believe I was in a car chase in Arequipa, Peru. Or
The Great Wall of China or something.
yeah, something like that. That's hard to believe that I got it myself in that pickle. I didn't plan
I feel like
on
if I
that.
posted, hard to believe I was at Chipotle just last week, people would go, bitch, you were just there.
You should start
We're
doing
just
that.
there. Hard to believe I hosted yesterday's show. You've been doing that for 10 years. What's so hard to believe about it? We got to take a break. It's MMA
He's
Junkie
gonna be
Radio.
so
on
mad
Sirius
when he
XM.
hears this 3
Rush
months
93.
from now.
Stay close. We'll be right back.
kicked off the set of The Fast and the Furious for being too loud and too good-looking. Once again, here's gorgeous George and Goes.
Barstool Radio is bringing their own original flavor to sports and pop culture stories that are trending this week, such as the NBA and NHL playoffs, the latest celebrity gossip, and much more. Enjoy refreshing content that is by the common man for the common man. Barstool Radio on Power 85 and anytime on demand with the SiriusXM app.
Can I try one just to see what there is to it?
Sure.
So I don't know anything. I'm just going to read the second one.
Bring us to a song, Danny. Can you play a song real quick?
U2 is playing a private event for SiriusXM subscribers.
Private show.
Oh, yeah. See?
Yeah.
I can improv.
Try it. You do the second
You
one.
try it, Dan.
I can. Okay. What
Play a
did I
song,
say?
Danny.
What did I say?
Hold on,
Alright,
hold on, hold
I
on.
gotta say the
hold
whole
on.
thing from the top.
Yeah, pick the middle one.
Middle.
All right.
Wait, I want you to...
Fuck you, Danny.
Right now through May 29th, you can listen to SiriusXM for free in the car and on the SiriusXM app and online. Just download our app or go to SiriusXM.com to listen to your favorite channels. While you're there, get a sneak peek of Howard Stern video.
Look at the big bopper over
Wow.
there.
So you got everything right? The voice we could work on? It wasn't bad.
It was mixed between Strip Club DJ and Pager commercial
You did
from
sound like
1997.
Strip Club DJ a little
and
bit.
Pager commercial from 97, right?
Should we give Goes another chance?
Pager King. Sorry.
Do another one?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's try the YouTube.
U2? U2 is playing a private show for SiriusXM subscribers at Harlem's world-famous Apollo Theater, and we have your chance to be there. One grand prize winner will receive a trip for two to New York and tickets to this very special show at the Apollo on June 11th. For official rules and to enter, go to Sirius.com/YouTube before June 4th. No additional purchases necessary to enter or win.
Yeah, you only messed up on
Something over
for
here.
official rules and to enter SiriusXM.com. You missed the XM. You said Sirius.com.
Wow.
Pretty good. Pretty good. All right. Hal from Chicago is up. What's up, Hal? How you doing?
Hello?
How you doing?
Wow.
Hey, what I want to talk about was that referee stand-up. Leon Roberts, the British referee, in that first round when Damien Maya had the hook in. I did not agree with that stand-up at all. What do you think about that?
Well, Ray from San Antonio, can you give the phone back to Hal, first of all?
Hal's
this Hal?
getting good.
Yeah, he is getting good. No, I'm just kidding. Who is this, by the way? Our producer, Mr. Wow
Kevin
himself.
from Chicago.
Who? Danny?
Kevin.
Kevin?
Kevin.
Hey,
Danny,
Kevin.
does Kevin sound like Hal to you?
I didn't get to answer it. I thought it was Hal. I saw Chicago area
All
code.
Chicago people sound alike.
Wow. Can you believe this guy?
we
Wow.
kind of touched on it a little bit yesterday. He just did it right at the wrong moment, right?
His timing was wrong, and I also felt like even had he not done it, I still would have preferred a little bit longer of a leash because I thought it was a dominant position that he could. I mean, we're talking about a jiu-jitsu master, and
His face was funny when they separated him.
yeah. So I didn't like the timing of it. I didn't like the breakup at all. But I also wouldn't want him there for 5 minutes. But I'll let Dan re-answer the question because he did a great job yesterday. I think it's a valid question, and Dan can explain to you how not only in that position has Damien worked from it, but he's actually
fight.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, just I mean, essentially, I don't know, not exactly sure what you saw, or what's fresh in your head about it, but essentially, if you go watch the Dong Young Kim fight, I think it was his second or first fight at welterweight, Damien's, he got to a very similar position, and Dong Young Kim had an overhook. Granted, for a different reason, he was using it defensively as well, like Usman, so Damien couldn't get the back. Obviously, that's where Damien wants to go 9 times out of 10. But Dong Young Kim also was threatening with the Uchimata, which is just a hip toss, which you could do from the overhook there. And so it was kind of a double threat there in that kind of middle position where neither guy wanted to give ground. The pendulum's like right in the middle, right? The meter and the barometer is right in the middle. Similar to Usman and Maya, what we just saw. So I was actually pretty nervous for Usman in that case. I actually tweeted him like, ooh, if Usman makes a wrong move because he's so torqued, Goes made a pro wrestling reference, with they'll stretch and rack guys out and guys will quote unquote tap to it, and it's actually a painful position because you're stretching your ribs and your torso in a very precarious position. So not only are you stretched in that precarious position like Usman was, I mean, you just could see the strain on Usman's shoulder. If Usman were to try a takedown or Damian, which I thought was actually going to try a trip takedown and just put his body weight on Usman and land on top of him, that's enough to crack a rib, as it did on Dong Young Kim, and it actually gave Damian Maia the finish. So, I mean, whether it was a back take or another potential freak finish, yeah, it was. Am I ready to die on the hill and say that costed Damian? Damian Maia was going to win that fight if that ref didn't stop it. I'm not ready to die on that hill, guys.
Right.
But for what it's worth, that was my opinion. There was a lot more danger than was perceived. I didn't like the stoppage for what that's worth.
And he was carrying his weight. There's a lot of pressure in the first round, carrying his weight, wearing him down. I think that Leon Roberts, he's a British referee. The Brits, they really don't know much about wrestling and grappling. They're not known for their wrestling and grappling. I think that plays into it, honestly.
I don't know that we can just generalize like that, man. They've come a long way. And there's some really, really good referees on the other side of the pond. I know a guy like Mark Goddard would be flipping out right now.
Yeah,
he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Yeah.
What else do you got, Kevin? Let's move on from that one.
I want to touch on Usman, how he's trying to play this boogeyman role, like, ooh, the nightmare, he's so scary. He's a wrestler. He's not a knockout artist. You're not Rumble Johnson. You're not some scary knockout artist. You're a wrestler that grinds people down. So he's got to drop that whole, well, I'm some scary, tough guy that's going to, you know what I mean? I just don't like that shtick.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call, buddy. What do you guys think? Kevin reaching there, or are you feeling him?
I mean, he's got to do something, right? Especially in that division where a lot of guys are talking. You got to do something, but 30% really didn't help. I mean, that set him back.
I think these two...
Yeah, I understand what he's saying about one thing, though. Habib, when we break down a Habib fight, or when people talk about a Habib fight, what do we always say? He's going to get you down, and then it's a nightmare to be underneath Habib. Oh, yeah. I don't think Kamaru has become a nightmare, per se, to others. And I think that's what Kevin's saying is like, oh, okay, like, hold off a bit. Kamaru seems to be like an 8 to about a 9.5 maybe on everything. But he's not like Khabib, who seems to be a fucking 10 when it comes to ground and pound. Or even Tito back in the day. Remember they said, man, if you're underneath Tito back in the day, I mean, he's going to rain down elbows and crack your skull and carve up your forehead. I mean, and he was doing it. So there's a few guys that really, really are pretty vicious. Fedor. Yeah. And I think that's what Kevin is saying is Kamaru hasn't reached that yet. You know, Kevin, look, I agree with what you're saying, but think about from Kamaru's point of view. If he doesn't say that or portray himself that way, then it's us talking out of both sides. I'm like, why aren't you talking up your game? Why aren't you promoting yourself? So a lot of people are going to definitely cross the line and represent themselves a little bit more than what they are, but I'm not hating on the guy. One thing I'll say, and I don't want this to be the pick on Kamaru Usman show, is I really like the guy. He's talented. We had a nice conversation at the Monte Carlo, now known as Park MGM, the other day, and he seems like a real cool guy. He was great with the fans, but he did something that a lot of fighters do, and we got to figure out the right way to inform the fighters to not do it anymore. I don't like it when they say no excuses and it's followed up by an excuse, because he said no excuses, but I broke my hand. He could just say, man, that was a tough fight. I broke my hand in the first round and the second round. He didn't need to say the no excuses, because that's an excuse. So just say, yeah. I think Kenny or Tyron or someone asked him, hey, you know, you were dominant, but I know you wanted to get the finish. How'd you feel out there? Something like that. And you just don't need to say no excuses and then say that. And it's starting to get to the point where it's like when the fighter, you ask them a question and they're stuck, and then they just go, it is what it is, and it goes nuts. Same thing with this. All you had to really do is say, man, I thought I broke my hand in the first, so I started throwing a little bit more with the left, and I broke that in the second, and you know, that slowed my offense down. You know, you don't even have to say I went down to 90%, 80%. Yeah. Nobody wants to hear all that. Nobody's fighting at 100%. So, but other than that, he's going to be himself in line for a big fight, and maybe if he wins that, he could be looking at a world title shot. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you guys said. I think the last two performances, especially like George said, the wording, you know, it doesn't help his case, right? And but I think that you know, he wouldn't be, if he wasn't the most avoided fighter, I don't think he would feel that boogeyman kind of mantra either. But yeah, I agree. I think he still needs another fight, and it's tough because he's still putting his skills together. Like, we haven't seen the best Kamaru Usman yet, and that's the frustrating part, and you know, for him, and we haven't seen him against the best opponents. Even though Maia's great, my bad stylistic matchup, third short notice camp, third bad stylistic matchup in a row for him. You're right. I mean, he hasn't had, in many ways, whether it's his fault or not, Usman hasn't kind of had his fair shake, and we haven't seen the best Usman at the end of the day. So he still needs to show that, and not that he needs to prove anything to me or you or anybody, but let's be honest, this is how the sport works. He still needs to show that, and I think if he has one good performance against the top guy, I think he's right there, man.
Let's take this last break here. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. We got a daily debate headed your way.
I get paid to say things in this cool voice, and they get paid to be lame. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
U2 is playing a private show for SiriusXM subscribers at Harlem's world-famous Apollo Theater, and we have your chance to be there. One grand prize winner will win a trip for two to New York and tickets to this very special show at the Apollo on June 11th. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/U2 before June 4th. No additional purchase necessary to enter or win. Hey, I got through that.
Good job.
All right. It is now time for the Daily Debate brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. Here we go. Which upcoming mega card are you most anticipating? UFC 225, headlined by Robert Whittaker, who defends his middleweight title versus Yoel Romero, or UFC 226, which is the following month, and that has Stipe Miocic defending his world title against the light heavyweight champion, Daniel Cormier. Goes?
Tough question. This is the way I'm going to break it down, okay? We're at the Mandalay Bay right now. There's two doors. Which one do I walk into? The way I figure that out is you have one card where the main event is a fight we've already seen. Granted, it was a good fight, but I'm going to go in the direction of the fights that we haven't seen. Those top three fights on 226 are awesome. It's a super fight. When do you ever get to see two champions go at it like that? So I'm going to have to go with 226.
Yeah, and Goes his fights. I'll give you some more data, Dan, before you give us your response. We also have Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega and Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. Now on the other side, for UFC 225, the co-main event is Rafael Dos Anjos versus Colby Covington for the interim welterweight title, and then we have Megan Anderson versus Holly Holm, with the winner probably getting a shot at featherweight champion Chris Cyborg. So if you want to go down to 3 like Goz said, does it sway you, or what side are you on?
Well, maybe it was the Vegas bias, but I initially came in leaning toward 226 because of the main card. It just comes so strong from heavyweights, fresh matchups, super fights, etc. But it asks what card do we like the best, and as a whole card, well, I think hardcores look at the whole card. I'm a hardcore, and when I look at UFC 225, the whole card of it, top to bottom, I think it outweighs it, especially when you have when you have guys like Alistair Overeem or you're fighting for spots on the prelims with Holly Holm, like headlining names are ending up on the Fight Pass prelims and Fox. I mean, it's just from top to bottom. I think pound for pound, UFC 225 is a little stronger.
Are you sure, man? CM Punk and Mike Jackson? I didn't even get to Chiesa versus Pettis.
So I said whole card, main card, UFC 226 all day. But
well,
whole
to
card,
be fair, I don't know that 226 is done being built yet. But
Okay.
just main
Pretty
card
close.
versus main card, like let's use Goz's analogy here. There's there's 2 doors, and one
Okay.
says 225, one says 226. I'm walking into the historic Stipe versus Cormier versus Whitaker and Romero. None of these fights suck, all right? But we have to make a decision. I'm going to see history. Then Max versus Bryan or Colby versus RDA. Man, that's a good one, but this is the incumbent title, and that is to meet the incumbent, which is Tyron Woodley. And then let's go to the third one, Megan versus Holly Holm, Francis versus Derek. I mean,
If you go to the middle of the card zone, and I think this is what he's talking about, you got Claudia Gadelha against Carla Esparza, Mirsad Bektik versus Ricardo Lamas. You even got Bobby Green versus Clay Guida, Benavidez versus Pettis. That's where I was having problems, but what convinced me was I'm going to pay for one for a fight that I've already seen, and the other, at least they get a fresh matchup, so that's why I went that way. But I feel you. I'm with you.
you guys are almost swaying me here, and I think that's why.
okay, let me throw something back at
All
you
right,
guys.
okay,
Mike Perry versus Yancy Medeiros, Paulo Costa versus Uriah Hall, Gokhan Saki versus Khalil Roundtree, Asansao versus Rob Font, Curtis Millender versus Max.
That's why you got to watch them both.
Oh my
You do.
goodness!
You do have to watch
All
them
right,
both.
yeah,
They're both
yeah.
great cards. Let's go back to the poll itself. 70% agree with me, and I think you did say 226, right?
Yeah.
Dan Tom was swaying you a little bit. Dan Tom or UFC 225 has 30%. UFC 226 has 70%. 710 voted. They're both great cards, but we had to pick one, and those are our choices. All right. So we do have Dave Terrell. He's going to be joining us here at the top of the hour, followed up by George Sotiropoulos. So tell you what, let's wait till we come back, and then we'll take a call from Oregon. You know it's a rainy day over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Dan's from. You know what the state flower is over there in Oregon?
What is that?
Mildew.
I'm not gonna follow that one up.
Yeah. All right. So give us a few minutes. We'll be back. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on Sirius XM Rush 93.
many pilots can you name from Top Gun?
There's Maverick, Iceman, and I can name the guys that fell
Yeah,
out. Gesture, Viper, Merlin.
Wow, that's a good call.
Slider. Goose, obviously. That's not bad. 7.
Pretty good.
Okay, who am I missing?
Sundown.
Sundown.
Who was Andy Dufresne when he came in?
Oh, that's right.
He was.
He's Tim Robbins.
yeah.
Tim Robbins is in them.
He's not Merlin, right? Is he Merlin?
He might be.
Yeah, Cougar. Did you name Cougar?
yeah.
Okay, so Cougar, that's 9. And who are we missing? Oh, Hollywood and Wolfman. 11.
Oh, wow. Pretty good.
That is good.
All right. I want to welcome to the show Dave the Bionic Terrell. Known him for many years, man. Covering him through the WEC. And, of course, I see him all the time at the Extreme Couture Gym. I'm not kidding. Goes asked this question. I think it was to Ray or one of the guys. If you had to bet your life when you go to Extreme Couture, who's going to be at practice, what are some of the names that you would give out, you know? And by that we mean, who's always at practice? Well, Ray was a good name to throw out. We did say him. But let me tell you something, man. I see Dave a lot. You don't miss practice very often, brother.
Nah.
I'll give it up.
Not when I'm in camp.
Yeah. Well, even for some reason, I just see you there a lot. Even when you're in camp or not in camp,
Yeah.
you go and get your workout in.
Yeah, I'm there a lot, helping out a lot of other fighters get ready for their fights. We got a pretty solid crew there. Brad Tavares.
Tavares is always there.
He's pretty active in the UFC right now, and he fought, I think, in April or. Yeah, he just fought in April, and now he's fighting.
He's fighting
in July.
again on that card we were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
Oh no! Sorry, he headlines the day before the tough finale.
Yeah.
Against Izzy Adesanya. Yeah. So big fight for Brad Tavares, but I would say that Brad, Ray, Dave for sure, man. Those guys are locks to be there.
Mm-hmm. We got a pretty solid crew. Like I said, we train at UFC PI. We do wrestling on Fridays, and then I train with Uriah Hall Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, strength and conditioning over at the PI, and then Monday through Thursday, I'm at XC for pro training. So we got a pretty big squad there. A lot of big names. Francis Ngannou's been in there a lot. Roy Nelson's in there.
Roy's there a lot. I got to give Roy credit too, man. He's there a lot. I see him a lot.
He's on that team too. That
Yeah,
they put a gun to my head. And
yeah.
But I would go with you over Roy.
Yeah.
By a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Because I have been there before where Roy hasn't been there. I don't think I've ever been there where he hasn't been there.
Yeah. Roy comes in for striking, you know. He just got disappointed. Crow Cop just pulled out, I think 2 days ago maybe, or a day ago. Roy was going to beat him.
Especially on fight week. You feel like once you turn the corner and the hard sessions are over, and now you're just focused on weight, or for the heavyweights, maybe just, jumping on a plane that gets you there and not stepping on a nail or you know what I mean, stubbing your toe. You just want to make it to the finish line.
Yeah.
And so whatever happened at the very end, that's got to suck. 'Cause I think Roy's already in London.
Yeah, he's already there.
So somebody needs to fly there to fight him, or they need to find a UK-based heavyweight and give him a fight. I mean, the dude's been training. They want that to pay off. But the fight's got to matter if they're still going to use it where the the winner can be an alternate into the Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix in case one of the 4 comes up short. But hey, that's his deal. Your deal's coming up on 6/10, June 10th, in Ontario at the Citizens Arena. It's King of the Cage that you'll be fighting for, and you'll be fighting David Hernandez. So
Daniel Hernandez.
Daniel Hernandez, excuse me, Daniel Hernandez. You're 39 years old, Dave. You know, and you had long stretches where you haven't fought. What keeps you going? Is it you just love the competition, or did you set a number like 40 years old or 20 fights? Like, yeah.
Well, I've been pretty active my whole career, but there was a point in my career where I had to step away because I had pulmonary embolisms, and I had gotten like really sick I almost died. So that's why I was out for the years that I was out. But before I came with that condition, I was always in the gym. I was always training. And, yeah, it's just I love to train and I love to fight. And now that I'm able to fight again, it's, you know, I mean, I'm 39 and I hang with the best of them, you know.
You brought up Francis's name, and the cool thing about when I go watch practice is, you know, they kind of hang by weight classes, especially on the days I go. Tuesday's small glove day, Thursday's big glove day, but every once in a while, you know, the way they partner up, man, sometimes it just works out where people are looking and you don't want to sit it out. Yeah. And you know, as before the warm up even starts, they're calling out, hey, give me 5, yeah. You know, you guys are kind of like purchasing or agreeing.
We're calling out numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And but every once in a while, you just kind of turn around and go, oh yeah, yeah, you and I, and that was the situation here. I mean, I give it up. I've seen Dave versus Ray and Francis.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, you're gonna fight at 170, but what do you walk around at?
Well, right now I'm about 206.
206. Okay.
So
you're maybe giving away 50 to 70 pounds on some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, Francis is like 275. And solid rock. The dude's a beast.
Yeah.
And whenever I go him, I'm like, Francis, you're about a foot taller than me, so
take it easy.
Try not to go too hard. But yeah, the first time I ever went with Francis, I didn't have that talk with him, and like, yeah, he that was a tough round. I was on the run pretty much the whole time, trying to just stay out of his way. But the dude's so massive and he's so tall. And, yeah, it was hard to spar him the first time. But then the second time, he worked, you know.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool.
Yeah.
He's been there a lot. And I don't know if I said it on the show. I told you guys about my first interaction with him, right? That didn't go too well. Well, the last time I saw him, I thought it was going to go in that direction again because he was walking by me. And all of a sudden, he stopped. Kind of hit the brakes, turned around, and kind of like lifted his glasses. And I was sitting there, and I'm always fidgety. I think I was just tapping my knee. And so, if you all recall when I shared my first story, I hadn't formally introduced myself to him, you know. So on this occasion, I made sure to go, "Hello, Francis," and kind of gave him a wave. And he goes, "Hey," you know. And then he smiled, and he goes, "I know you," you know. And I was like, "Ooh." Yeah, you know, but I go, yeah, I didn't introduce myself. I'm George. I didn't introduce myself the first time. He goes, no, I remember you. And I'm like, yeah, sorry about that, you know. But I was referring to like 3 weeks ago. And he actually remembered when we had him on the show, and he was in New York getting ready to board that bus with Cynthia Cavillo. And I guess he saw the highlights, so he remembers the show. And but he almost waved off, and he goes, nah, don't worry about that. So that was cool. Like, I feel like I'm in with him a little bit, you know. And then he just kept walking. But that little stutter step and then taking the glasses, I thought he was going to say, like, this is the jerk, you know, get him out of here or something like that.
I remember Chuck Zito said anybody who ever takes off their glasses, that's an offensive move. So I would have said you were in trouble with that.
Oh, man, yeah. But no, Francis, he's there a lot. Dave is there a lot. Man, that's a really, really cool gym to watch the camaraderie. You guys have been through some highs and lows. A couple guys, some veterans, went in other directions, but it seems like there's been a core that hung in there, and then all of a sudden now, I mean, it's the place to be, you know.
Yeah, we have solid competition there, man, and every day is a really good training day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't have a good training session. I have really good sparring partners. You know, we got this up and comer. His name's Ty, and he's gonna pro debut soon, and he throws down with Brad, and he throws down with Uriah, and he throws down.
What's
with
he look
Francis. Like? He's the Hawaiian kid that.
Does he kind of look like Brad?
He looks like Brad.
He looks like Brad's stunt double.
Yeah.
Okay. Like sometimes if you look at them, you'll actually think it's him.
Okay, I know who you're talking about.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm wondering who that was.
But let me ask you a question. There is a white dude there who looks like he is a stockbroker. Doesn't belong. He's thin. He's a white dude, but he's got like a little bit of gray in his hair. But homeboy goes.
He's the general manager.
Tibor Maggie?
No, not Eric.
Yeah.
He's talking about Tibor.
Yeah, Tibor.
Yeah.
T-boy.
He's got
He's not Hawaiian.
European
Tebow.
K1 stuff,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Yeah, he's got European K1 accent. Yeah, I trained with him before. He's a real nice guy. He's a hard worker. I always see him.
Dude, he goes.
Ray
he's always in the
trains
gym.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
mean, I've seen him because one of the best things is watching Uriah train at times. You just gotta watch him for a round because he's doing crazy stuff. But he goes out there, man, and just like Dave, I've seen him spar with the big dudes, and it's like, let's go. I mean, you can tell he wants to go, and I'm like, fuck, like,
Yeah, he's badass.
okay,
Good
alright,
at it. Good at it. Great
He's
attitude.
So he's gained the respect of the gym because
Yeah.
it looked like a couple times where like the dudes are going like, all right, bitch, you want to go, and then it's like, you know, whoever's going with him, man, really, you can tell they
Yeah.
lift up their intensity.
He's fighting, I think, next month in Madison Square Garden in a
What,
kickboxing match.
what'd you call him? What was his name? T-Boy?
Tebow. Or-
Tebow?
Yeah.
Tebow.
It's spelled Tibor. It's like Tibor. And
Tibor, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that dude.
Tebow.
Yeah.
I'm just a fan of the practice of that guy.
Yeah, he's great attitude too. He's like I remember when he first came to the gym. I think it was like 2013 or so, and that's when I was actually still on the mats. But you tell he came more from striking, and a lot of those guys they don't want to grapple sometimes, right? Or vice versa. The grapplers they don't want to strike so much. But he's great, man. Didn't care if it was with a younger guy, a guy maybe getting the better of him. Didn't matter. He just wanted to learn, and he had a great attitude.
Where's
man.
he from?
I'm not too sure,
Okay.
but
But from Europe, it sounds
yeah,
like? Okay.
yeah. He's from Europe somewhere, but he'll fight anybody.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't.
Yeah, and he's
doesn't
very
avoid nobody.
He's very unassuming, but he's tough, man.
Yeah,
That dude's
yeah.
tough. All right, Dave Terrell here, our guest, and not. I know a lot of you sometimes get confused. This has happened before. There was another Dave Terrell that fought.
He's from NorCal.
Yeah, Northern California. He's
a
the
crazy-
soul assassin.
Yeah.
Dave Terrell here is the Bionic. You've seen him at WEC, and he'll be fighting now at King of the Cage on June 10th versus Daniel Hernandez. Who corners you? I know some of the coaches float around, so who backs you when you fight?
So the guy Ty that I was telling you about,
Okay.
Brad Stunt Double, he's gonna corner me. Uriah Hall's gonna corner me,
Oh, cool.
Oh wow.
and Chuck Liddell possibly might corner me.
Which is a great segue for the next thing. I was talking to Dave, and you shared something with me that I asked, hey, can we talk about this? And you said, sure. So, Dave, outside of fighting, I guess what you've been doing is consulting? Is it with Golden Boy MMA, or who is it with?
So I'm like a talent consultant for TNT Fight Management, and I help bring Chuck on board to TNT, and so now TNT is they're doing the negotiations with Golden Boy right now. So right now they're like all this week they're trying to close the deal. Hasn't closed yet, but
Chuck versus
it's
Tito
cool.
under
Yeah.
Golden Boy MMA, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we're aiming for right now. Golden Boy's the front runner, but Bellator's right there too.
Oh, really?
They
So
have.
this isn't over yet.
Yeah, this isn't over. I mean, Bellator is right there in the thick of things. They're.
Now, was it just kind of like Chuck meet these people meet Chuck, and then you just turn around and walk away? Or are you on these calls, and are you on emails, and are you watching, seeing this thing all the way through?
I've been on a few meetings, but since I've been in training camp, I really haven't been in LA where, they're meeting up with Oscar and stuff like that. If I wanted to be, I could, but I'm here focused on this fight and training for,
So you know Chuck pretty well then?
Yeah, me and Chuck go way back.
Okay. And
he cornered me in the WEC actually.
Okay.
So yeah, and this is TNT Fight Management is a big management company, and they're about to do big things, and bringing Chuck aboard was huge. I had brought Stephan Bonner aboard TNT when he fought Tito, and so that was like the first big fight that I was a part of with TNT.
Do you want to keep climbing the ladder and go from consultant to actual manager / agent or anything like that, or do you like your role as the way it is?
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna work into when I step away from fighting. Altogether. You know what I mean? I'm 39. I feel like I got like another four good years left in me. So after that, managing is probably gonna be the path that I'm gonna go with. So.
Did all that catch you by surprise? Because when we heard Chuck wants to come back and it's against Tito, it caught us by surprise because we thought Chuck's been gone for a while. It seems like he's been pretty happy.
Yeah.
And B, that third fight that was supposed to happen with Tito, he was pretty pissed off that it didn't happen. So for him to want to jump back in and even give it another try again was pretty surprising.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just know that when Chuck fights Tito again, he's gonna knock Tito out. Chuck's just one of those guys that just has Tito's number. Tito's not gonna take him down, and Tito's not gonna outstrike him. And right now, Chuck's training with all-American caliber guys, wrestlers, and he's training with an Olympian right now, named Brandon Halsey. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Brandon, but he was the Bellator middleweight champ for a while, and he's been working with Chuck. So Chuck's got really good wrestlers working with him right now, so I don't see Tito even getting close to taking him down. And then as far as Tito's striking goes, I mean, I was a part of Tito's camp when he trained for Alexander Shlemenko, and when I was in camp with Tito, I mean, he was slow.
That was about 3 years ago, right?
I think it was a little more like 5.
Shlemenko?
Maybe 2013, maybe 2014, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe it was 2013. I don't remember, but
so at some point in time, you and Tito were cool.
Oh yeah, I was a part of his camp. For Shlemenko, because I'm a lefty, and Shlemenko's a lefty, and so yeah, it was me and this. So
what happened a few years ago here on New Year's or something like that, where you guys had a run-in?
So what happened was,
this is public, by the way. I'm not.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean it's public knowledge. So me and this kid. I got this kid to come in to help me train Tito, because when I showed up to help Tito, it was just me. So I recruited this kid from Bellator. His name's the Irish Brennan Ward. So me and Brennan were helping Tito. We were Shark Tanking him every day, and so long story short, Brennan was kind of like riding a skateboard to practice, and he was riding the bus, and I basically told Tito, like, hey man, why don't you get the kid a rental car, and then Tito didn't want to, and so we had words, and so basically the words that we had led to him like going on social media, and so pretty much me and him kind of had some beef.
So that was even prior to the incident here in Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's because I called him out on some things, and like Tito's probably not used to people calling him out on shit, and I called him out, and so long story short, my buddy was like, hey man, if you see Tito out in Vegas tonight, watch out, because he might try to fight you. And I was like, no, he won't. He would not do that. And then sure enough, I'm standing in front of Dre's nightclub. I'm standing in front of the podium about to walk in. Tito walks up, opens the ropes, lets himself in, walks by me, and kind of like gets in my face as he's walking by me. And I just nodded my head like, and he got back in my face, and he told me not to say what's up to him. And then I said, what's up, you want to fight? And he stepped back and he swung. And I just...
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know I led the blows. Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, he swung on me. And I just had this Spider-Man moment, like, when he was swinging, like, is he really swinging on me right now? Like, as the punch is coming, and I see it from my peripheral, and I just remember slipping backwards, and, like, he missed, and then I fired on him with, like, a right hook straight left, and then knocked him back in the crowd. And
so you connected? I
connected. I knocked his ass back like 5 feet into the crowd.
Wow.
And then like the crowd tried to grab him, and he tried shaking people off, and somebody in the crowd cracked him in the face, and then he was swinging at the crowd, and then a security guy tried to tackle him. He like shot in, and Tito hipped in on him, and then he swung on someone else, and I got behind Tito. And I was going to throw a choke in on him, but I was like, nah, it's kind of fucked up. So I excuse my language, sorry. And then I drug him to the ground, And I told him, I said, stop swinging on civilians, you know, like, because he's going to get sued. And he, like, chilled out after that. And then afterwards.
You guys cool since then? Or
Nah, we're not cool.
Okay.
We're not cool. And, yeah, that's what happened.
So you'll have, regardless of your role with TNT, you have an interest in this fight. You're
totally.
tight with Chuck, and you left it at
totally.
At that incident with Tito. Okay.
I want to see Chuck fight Tito again really bad.
Mm-hmm. What does your gut tell you? And you know, think this one through. I know this. Do you think it'll happen at Bellator or Golden Boy? We all felt like it was a slam dunk at Golden Boy just from the announcements that came in. It's great to hear that there's competition. Maybe the fighters will make more money, but what can you say? Or
well, I think it would make more sense for him to fight for Golden Boy because Golden Boy does pay-per-view as opposed to Bellator is network television.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't really see any Bellator commercials anywhere about fights that are coming up. You know, so they don't really advertise.
I don't watch that channel too often. It's called the Paramount channel. I know that the switch from Spike to Paramount, I think, probably could have been better, but I just turn it on when it's fight time, so it's hard to say. I know that on our website, for example, we have a skin, and our job is to promote the fights.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Have you seen TV or billboards or
not
radio?
billboards, but billboards. Commercials here and there. Like I was watching, I think, Indiana Jones or something.
But it doesn't push. They don't push it that hard, huh?
Not as hard as like what you see on Fox.
I was going to joke that I saw Bellator commercials recently, but only because I've been doing tape study on Bellator fights on their website, and they'll play them on commercials in between their things. That's the only place I've seen them is on their website.
Dave and Buster's back in the day.
Exactly. So I mean, for what that's worth, that's the only place I'm seeing them.
It's like when Frank Mir fought Fedor. I didn't know about it. Like, oh, really? They're fighting today? You know, I mean, I didn't see any commercials for it. You know, so I think with Golden Boy and Chuck, I think it's going to be promoted heavily, and I think it's going to be on a lot of. You're going to see commercials on ESPN.
Those are big names, man.
Yeah. It's a big fight, and I just, you know, I think that the smart move would to be go with Golden Boy. But like I said, they're the front runners, but you have Bellator right there. They're making offers, so it's kind of like
that's cool.
It's up in the air right now, so we'll know within the next couple weeks what's going to happen for sure. It'll be signed with, you know, it'll be a signed deal. So with one or the other.
Chuck's already been kind of training. Do you think even if the Tito fight doesn't come to fruition, he'll just find someone else?
Yeah, he came out and said he'll fight anybody. You know,
Chael maybe.
Well, Chael's
more exclusive to Bellator, right?
Yeah,
gotcha.
He's with Bellator, but you know, I mean, I don't know. He'll fight anybody. He said he'll fight John Jones. You know, but John Jones says he won't be able to fight.
Well, he's UFC
till 2019 or something like that.
All right.
I read something about that, but yeah, no, Chuck's open to fight anybody. You know,
your fight's coming up here, so your camp's wrapping up.
Yeah. This is my last week of hard training, and then like the last 2 weeks.
What's this guy like, Daniel Hernandez? Does he want to throw hands, or is he more of a wrestler? What do you know about him?
I haven't watched much video on him, but I do know he likes to wrestle and he likes to go for footlocks. Just from what I've heard and seen, so you know it's gonna be a good fight, you know.
All right. Well, hey man, it's been great having you stop by.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
I appreciate
good
it.
luck with everything, not just this camp, the fight, but the things you got going outside. That's pretty interesting that you've been able to connect some big names with some new promotions and other promotions, and I didn't know that about you. So very cool. Congrats on that. It's good to have a nice path to you know, after your career.
Yeah,
because you just can't fight forever, and it keeps you involved in the fight game.
Yeah, something that I love. So
very cool.
And he always sees us. We're at his work. It's good he gets to see us at ours.
I see you guys all the time over there.
That's right. All right, folks. So that's Dave Terrell, the Bionic. He'll be fighting on June 10th versus Daniel Hernandez at King of the Cage. And if you see Tito and Chuck mix it up at some point, whether it's Bellator or Golden Boy MMA, you'll know that my man over here had a hand in that. So very cool. All right, folks, we got to go to commercial. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be back.
Life will be a lot better. Here are Gorgeous and Goes.
Right now through May 29th, you can listen to SiriusXM for free in the car and on the SiriusXM app and online. Just download our app or go to SiriusXM.com to listen to your favorite channels. While you're there, go get a sneak peek of Howard Stern Radio. All right, thank you to Dave Terrell for his time. He was here in studio with us. He'll be fighting on June 10th versus Daniel Hernandez, longtime member of Extreme Couture. Great to catch up with him. Now we're going to catch up with a former UFC veteran, almost a veteran of 12 fights. He had 7 wins in the octagon. All 7 were in a row. It got him to like a top 5 ranking at one point with 3 bonuses. Talking about George Sotiropoulos, who's retired now and has a fight gym. Well, no, I shouldn't call it that. He's got a gym, and in that gym they had their grand opening recently. And so what they do, it's called Omega Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. And so that's what we want to learn about, is to see how much is towards the general public and how much is towards possible fight team. Because what I see here is you can book a free introductory lesson, adults, kids programs. They're promoting self-defense, flexibility, and focus. Kids will be engaged in discipline, focus, and commitment. It has George's name all over there. Like, he will be training everybody that's there, so that's very cool to see. More information, go to www.omega.mma.com.au. This is in Melbourne, Australia. He got up early to do this interview. It's Wednesday over there, guys. It's only Tuesday for us.
Nice.
Yeah. How you doing, George Sotiropoulos? Good to hear from you, man.
Good morning, George. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Oh, fantastic.
All right. So are you an early riser anyway, or did you make a sacrifice here for us?
Both.
All right, good to hear. So, George, I just want to confirm, was I right at this point you are retired, or would you entertain a fight if the right offer came?
I would definitely entertain a fight, but I would make sure I was well trained for it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to hear. And now it seems like you have transitioned. You informed us of Omega Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. The grand opening was last month. Tell us a little bit about your gym. It looks like it caters obviously to the general public, but at the same time, with the MMA there, are you going to also have a fight team?
Yeah, for sure. Look, it's open to the general public, and it's only been open for about 6 weeks now on a full schedule. But I would entertain teaching and training anybody.
Okay. And how involved are you in the gym? Like, how many classes do you teach, or are you more of a suit and tie guy running the show?
No, I'm running all the classes, and I'm running basically the entire program. I'm overseeing everything. It's my school, and I'm running every aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. 6 weeks in, how much fun are you having, or is it more on the stress side of being a business owner now?
Look, it's still there's still some work to do, but through the heaviest load of it. But it's there's both stress and fun in all of it.
What do you look forward to the most when you do arrive at the gym? I mean, this is your baby, George. I'm sure you've had a hand in a lot of whether it was the construction or just putting the gym together. But what do you look forward to the most?
I look forward to the training and teaching of students, seeing them grow and improving their skill and technique.
Mm-hmm. Have you reached the point yet where a kid or an adult has already told you, hey, man, you're making a difference in my life, whether it's a kid learning his self-defense or an adult that's lost some weight? Are some good feel-good stories already trickling in?
Yeah, people are happy with the results. They're learning and they're enjoying it. So it's good to see the smile on people's face and hearing that feedback.
George Sotiropoulos, our guest here on MMAjunkie Radio. We're celebrating his gym opening April 7th, Omega Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. If you're in Melbourne, Australia, check it out at 6 Down Street in Collingwood, Victoria, 3066. For more information, you can call 0435 721-496. All right, goes. What do you have for George Sotiropoulos?
George, early on here in Las Vegas, and even a little bit in Southern California, that's where we grew up, when all the gyms started popping up, it seemed like at first it was mostly catered for adults. And then as popularity of mixed martial arts grew and jiu-jitsu, you see more and more kids showing up at these classes and parents having more confidence in putting these kids in these classes. Has it lifted off the same way over there in Australia? Are there the same trends that we have back here in the States?
I think the trends are very similar. I'm seeing the same trends in all the places I've lived. MMA is very popular. It's grown globally, and jiu-jitsu, MMA, it's become very popular. So right now I'm running adult classes, but kids classes are going to be added soon because the gym is still a work in progress. Yeah.
What would you say when it seems like the dynamic of your classes, right? Everybody comes from a different walk of life. And the one thing I've noticed in some of these martial arts classes, it's kind of cool that certain people that maybe wouldn't end up together socially because of their jobs end up in the same place in martial arts, and everybody's at that same level. Sometimes the guy that's at a lesser level, say in life, can be above the other guy, right? And that respect gets formed. Can you talk a little bit about the dynamic of some of your classes and some of the people that go there?
Yeah, there's people from all walks of life. You have young people, students, professionals, but martial arts brings people together for a common interest, and they all work together and enjoy it.
All right, we also have our fight analyst Dan Tom here with us. Dan, what do you have for George?
Hey George, obviously, on the topic of businesses and schools, you have background in as far as business goes, but I want to talk more about the martial artist side. I myself, as a young child, did traditional martial arts, and for a little bit also taught to children. So I've kind of seen the benefits. So I'm a little biased. I'm always telling people, hey, put your kids in martial arts, put your kids in martial arts. But for you, George, as a martial artist and as a gym owner, was there a part in your career or upbringing as a kid, maybe your own experiences in martial arts, where you first thought, you know what, someday I'm going to have a school of my own? Or was there maybe a story or something that just sparked it off for you?
I always saw myself as owning a school, especially with the training and the amount of things I was learning and doing. I always knew that the aspects of training, from the grappling, the wrestling, and the striking, they're so varied that there were no coaches of all those things 10, 20 years ago, and I knew that one day that I'd be teaching those things.
That's actually that's pretty huge when you think about the landscape. Now, kind of looking backwards, I mean that's a lot of foresight to look ahead. But looking backwards now that you've had some time away from your professional competition, what do you think about where the sport's gone as far as the UFC? Whether you have any opinions on it as far as the fighters or the brand marketing or just the martial art and sport itself? Do you have any opinions on where it's gone since your time with it?
It's just become very popular. It's very popular. It's become mainstream. It's a long time ago it wasn't as popular as it is now, because of obviously the UFC and it being on TV. Mm-hmm. That's the main thing I see. It's more accepted. More people know what it is. More people. Australia doesn't have a grappling and wrestling background, but it's very popular here now, and most people know what it is.
George here again. I wanted to ask you, as far as your MMA team, are you going to focus on amateur and pro, or just one or the other, or how do you plan to grow it, I guess? And will you hire a head coach, or will you be the head coach of the team?
I am the head coach. I would grow the school as the members grow. So I haven't gotten to that stage yet, but amateur competition is where it starts, and then professional competition is where it goes. Is the progressive path. So you would have to do both to have a successful team.
Mm-hmm. And looking back, I guess we really never had much of a chance to talk to you as your career was winding down. But if you had to look back, what is your fondest memory of your career? I mentioned you had almost a dozen fights. You had 7 straight wins at one point in the UFC. You had 3 bonuses, so you had your fair share of good times. But is there 1 or 2 that stick out for you?
Look, I would definitely have to say all the fights on pay-per-view, but there was different phases. There was, the Ultimate Fighter phase, then the early fights from, the finale, then Ultimate Fight Night, and then, fighting Joe Stevenson, Kurt Pellegrino, Joe Lozon, all those fights on pay-per-view, going from the undercard to the main card. They're definitely the highlights. I remember a clear path of constantly getting, fighting bigger fights, getting more exposure, and my name was growing.
As far as last question here, as far as Omega Jiu-Jitsu, the Omega Jiu-Jitsu part of it, if I recall, you used to be, I guess, either I don't know if we call it a student or you just trained with Eddie Bravo, and you brought a lot of that to your game. Is that 10th Planet style, I guess, a little bit that's part of Omega Jiu-Jitsu, or do you have another style of Jiu-Jitsu? I know Jiu-Jitsu's changed a lot. We follow MMA, but I know a lot of people are the lower half. People are leg locking each other every time I turn on a submission grappling tournament. But how about you? How will you cater your teachings?
Look, I'm going to teach people to begin with fundamentals. 10th Planet, I think is better reserved, or is better left for people who have more experience. I prefer to the fundamentals, the basic escapes, positions, passes, sweeps, and submissions. And the 10th Planet is very specific, which is what I use it for. Like, when I got into MMA, I already had a well-rounded game on the ground as well as standing, but I saw that aspect of jiu-jitsu as something I could use against high-level competition if I was ever put in a bad situation, like I was against Joe Stevenson or Kurt Pellegrino that took me down, and I was in a bad situation, so I could use it to my advantage, which I did. And that's what I saw it for. But I don't see it as something that I'd look to develop my style with. It's something that I'd add to my style.
I got you. All right. Folks, for more information on George's gym, Omega Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, go to www.omegamma.com.au. And again, this is George Sotiropoulos, UFC veteran who we're talking about here, who fought in the lightweight division. And he's been gracious enough to wake up at 4 a.m. to conduct this interview live. So we appreciate your time, George. We congratulate you on your new venture. Is there anything else you'd like to say that we may have left out, or that you'd like to talk about in regards to your own personal career or the gym before we let you go?
No, I think you guys said it all, but I appreciate you guys having me on and giving me the opportunity to get the publicity out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you, sir. And folks, follow him on Twitter and Instagram at George Sots. That's George and then SOTS. And on Facebook, it's George Sots MMA. Thanks again, George. We really appreciate it. Great catching up with you. Good luck with the gym, and hopefully we can talk to you again soon.
Oh, thank you so much, George. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. Cheers. All right, folks, that's George Sotiropoulos. Now, these callers have been hanging on, so let's bang through a couple of them real fast, and then we'll head towards the final break. Dan from Oregon, start things off. What's up, Dan?
What up? Man, I'd like to hear George reflect back on his career. It kind of reminds me of maybe the old school MMA mentality compared to these new guys that just want to jet right into the main card slot. He's like, I enjoyed the grind of working my way from the fight nights onto the pay-per-views, and that's awesome to hear, man. I want to talk about freaking the Yair Rodriguez and how he went about getting cut by the UFC. I think his whole fake news tweet just completely effed him over. If they released the fact that you got a fight sign with the beat when he came out and said, I wanted that fight anyways, he should have hung back and let his manager get more money for him after they start promoting it. Once they start putting money in it, you got a way better chance of getting more money instead of the day of. So I think he messed up right there. And did you hear the news that Al Iaquinta came out and said pretty much that he signed a fight to fight Justin Gaethje? They wanted him to fight in like August, and he's like, hold up. Gaethje needs more rest than that. Let's wait till September. So upcoming September, it's looking like Al Iaquinta versus Justin Gaethje. What do you guys think of that matchup?
All right, as far as Yair, first of all, you know what, that contract negotiations, that's one of those where if you're in there, Uriah Faber told us this. We spent some time with him in Virginia. He says sometimes it's just the right time and sometimes it isn't. And I feel like on the heels of what happened with Leslie Smith, I would have just kind of backed off of that one. It's either your time, you know, especially when you're not out of contract and you're just kind of asking. These favors have been happening a lot, and some guys can pull it, some guys or gals can pull it off, and some can't. And you know, I don't know if his management failed him or if if maybe it was him or what, but I just it didn't seem like that was a wise decision. I think he had a really good thing going with the UFC. He moved to Vegas. He was training at the PI. I explained to you before, it seemed like he had a previous pretty good relationship with Dana White. And I think when you do that, it's not coming off a loss and a 1-year notice. It's like coming off of a great win where you go, what's up now? You know, everyone's talking about me. Everyone's trending. Google's trending my name or my social media. Let's talk, you know, and I think they're more willing to rip up the contract than not kind of like in the situation he was in. The other question is, as far as Al, I commend him, man. If he's looking out for a fellow lightweight, I commend him. And no one's in a hurry to see Justin Gaethje. We already know he's an established badass. He's one of the top 10 in the world. But I would agree, separate yourself a little bit from those wars that you've had. Not just the two that everyone likes to talk about, which is Poirier and Alvarez. How about the one with Michael Johnson, man? He was almost out in that one too. And how about just everything that happened with Luis Palomino? Distance yourself a little bit. Let the division shake itself out. Who knows? A couple of those guys might win or might lose, and then all of a sudden you're back kind of in some sort of a favorable spot. So good on Al if that was his intention. Maybe Al also had something to do in August, and he was able to use it, but I doubt it. Al's a pretty good guy, even though he can, you know, be silly at times. But September would be, I'm hearing about a card in Russia, and then October's back here in Las Vegas. So I'd love to see it here in Las Vegas, that's for sure.
I agree 100%.
All right,
and
boss.
as far as Yair, the news just broke. Verdum just got popped by USADA, so that main event's out.
What?
Maybe Yair's ends up being the main event.
That lasted,
what? Jesus.
Less than 24 hours?
What lasted? Oh, my God. Flag for potential USADA violation.
Team Akhmat.
Holy shit. Eesh. And he was going to headline versus who? Alexei Olenek.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. You broke news to me. Thanks for the call, man.
Yeah, thanks for that, dude.
Wow. Let's read it here. Does it give any details, or is it just that first little warning that he's been notified of a potential anti-doping violation by USADA, according to a statement released.
It's crazy.
Potential violation of out-of-competition sample collected on April 25th, slightly over 1 month after his knockout loss to Alexander Volkov. So there you have it, man. This dude is 40 years old, and I guess we got to let the facts trickle in, but it's unfortunate. Let's take this break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
I'ma move that in my direction. Thankful for that.
They taught Andy Griffith how to whistle. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, let's just jump into it now. We know that U2 is going to be at the Apollo. We know that Barstool Radio is kicking ass, and we know that there's an NBA Finals opportunity. We'll tell you more about that tomorrow. I want to get out of here on time. So, John from Seattle, what's up, man?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good, man.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm just calling in. Well, I'm calling in cold. I don't know. I just listened to the last two calls. So have you guys talked about? So I'm in the chat. I posted about translators in any sport. You know, Victor Davila, I feel like did a great job this weekend because a lot is lost in the translation when a fighter's emotions can't be translated the right way. Even one word changes everything.
Yeah.
Have you guys talked about that?
So is that the Spanish broadcaster, Victor Davila?
I don't know, but he did do probably one of the better jobs.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I was very impressed. And I like this blue suit.
The guy in boxing, I don't like him very much. Because he can't.
That's the guy I can't stand.
It's the cultural thing, right? I think he's like Cuban, but a lot of times they have the Mexican boxers, and a lot of things get lost.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. In Peru, pendejo is somebody who's sly. In Mexico, it's somebody who's a jackass.
Dipshit.
So imagine if someone in Mexico said, no me gusta ese pendejo. He's saying, I don't like that jackass. But in Peru, they'd go, watch out for this guy. He's slick. He doesn't like him, but this dude's slick. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's, yeah, it can happen.
You know what we're talking about, pendejo?
Oh, he's not that
slick.
slick.
That
Cat's
doesn't mean you're slick.
Must be the other version.
Are you guys talking to Dan Palmer? I'm just saying. Big up to you guys. By the way, did you guys listen to Valentina at all on her broadcasting debut?
No, I didn't
hear her,
I just
no.
watch it in English. How'd she do? She speaks well, though.
She actually does, you know. I feel like they have good chemistry with the Doom. You know, I just heard what happened with him. But yeah, I feel like they have really good chemistry. I just wanted to tune into that just because I know she speaks Spanish, you know. So I wanted to make sure. I don't know, but this whole card was really good. Even the like I said, the translators, I feel like a lot, you know, it's said. And he had it word for word, and he translated from Portuguese to Spanish, you know. So
to English. It was very impressive.
He looked like a butler for like a 1970s Bond villain. You know, it looked like he was going to brandish a golden gun and hand it to Christopher Lee.
Maybe.
You know.
Just over a minute left. Cage Side Nick from Arizona. What's up, man? We just got 45 seconds for you. Hello.
Cage Side Nick, just want to say MMA Junkie Radio is the best. Thanks, Cage Side Nick.
Cage Side Nick.
We love you too,
We'll
brother.
have to do it on another time. Danny, just let him know we tried. Well, we got to get out of here, folks. I have an appointment, and we still have to do another video, I believe. So, fun show today with George Sotiropoulos. Want to thank him for his time, and Dave Terrell. Terrell fighting on June 10th, King of the Cage, in Ontario, California, at the Citizens Bank Arena, I believe it's called. I've been there before for a World Series of Fighting. Nice arena out there in the Inland Empire of California. Sotiropoulos opening Omega Jiu-jitsu and MMA down in Melbourne, Australia. Happy for him to be a gym owner. Tomorrow we'll be joined by Mike Dolce, will be our co-host for the day, and we'll be talking to Mirsad Bektik, and I believe we are going to get Brian Stan this time. So it should be a fun show. For Dan and Danny and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there. Be a champion.